Going to start by removing bolts on top. Got the headlight bolts here, and one over here, and then 4 of these across the top. It'll speed up the process if you've got a 10mm socket. Once you have the 2 headlight top bolts out and the 4 grill bolts, then you can just pull your grill forward like this, and you can see some clips down in here. If you don't have one of these, I highly recommend getting this big old long screwdriver. If you're working on things that are hard to get to, for instance, the headlight adjustments on the stock ones, this screwdriver goes all the way down to where you can adjust the aim, but of course we're getting rid of these, so won't matter anymore on that. But anyway, there's a clip down there. Right. There's a clip right down there. You can see, just push down on that and then pull the bottom of the grill out. Now I got so much stuff behind my grill that if you've seen some of my other videos, we got the PA speakers here, we've got extra lights down there. There's actually 5 of those clips. There's one right down here, one over there, and then in the center. 2 of mine are so loose that I don't even have to push on them anymore, but there's 5 total in the bottom, and you can push them out. If yours is still tight, mine's not, so I don't have to push them out. The grill pulls right out, but it's still pretty secure anyway. So if you guys are new to my channel, you probably haven't seen the video on the install on the Thunderwave PA system. You can go back on the channel and check that, but there's one of the speakers there, and then there's another one right down here in the bottom. I found that having 2 was more sufficient volume with that system, but I've also got some built-in lights and a camera here that I did a video on earlier, and then these caution lights are mounted up here, so I have to kind of keep the grill close so I don't pull the wiring off. So now on each side we've got 3 more bolts to deal with on the headlight itself. There's those 2 black ones you can see there, and then there's one underneath here. Let's see if we can get there we got some light on it, over there on the left side underneath. All right, so we got those 2 bolts inside there out, and the one underneath here out. Then you just grab the headlight with both hands, kind of equally, and just pull it straight back. I've already popped it loose, but it just pops right loose. And then you can do the other side. And here's what the back of the stock headlight looks like. You got the adjuster here. So another tip I'm going to give you is if you don't have one of these magnetic reacher grabber tools, magnetic pickup, you should probably get one before you do this. You drop bolts back here somewhere where you can't get to them with your hand, and this thing will pick them up. I've used it hundreds of times on vehicles over the years. I should say the daytime running lights. That is the fuse that you're going to hook into. Apparently that's a mirror fuse or something, number 50. The guide online with Morimoto shows that's the one you're going to tie into. And here is the little fuse tie that you're going to throw in there. Plugs right into that slot. So you pull the existing fuse out, pop that one in, and then put your cover back on. And like I said, if you guys are familiar with the channel, you'll know I got a lot of stuff bolted onto this thing. And to get to the fuse box, unfortunately, that was the widest spot to put the EMP shield, all the wiring for the horns, the PA speaker wiring and everything. But I'll clean it up when I get done. All right, so that's what it looks like when it's plugged into that slot with the 10 amp fuse removed, and then the wiring just comes back down here toward the front of the truck. All right, so we got both headlights pulled out, and you can kind of see I've got some stuff already spliced in. Anyway, you're just going to remove all of the factory bulbs, plugs. They just turn. So on this one, you're just going to put a little tiny screwdriver down in here in that slot and push it a little bit, and then the plug comes apart like that. We're going to use these existing plugs to do the plug and play. I could have just left these bulbs in the housing and then unplugged them from the back, but I thought it'd be easier to get to doing it this way. So same situation, you just push the clip, pull this plug off of the housing here. Same one with this guy right here. Housing, plug, just separate them. So I did notice that this one was a little bit discolored, and sure enough, this clip right here broke off. And so if it doesn't stay very secure with the Morimoto plug, I'll probably just have to tape it. But something to be conscientious of. This is a 2015 truck, and it's 2023 right now, so it's like 8 years old, and you know, things get hot on the bulb and things get brittle. But anyway, there we are with all three plugs opened up. So here's a little side-by-side look. The OEM with Morimoto. So here you can see the stock adjuster there, which has this nice little handy slot for a screwdriver to come in from the top. And then if you look at the Morimoto, it's got two different adjusters. And it says if you turn it more than 3 times, you can break it, basically. So you want to keep that in mind. So they must be pretty close to being adjusted. Actually, it looks like this one here has a slot on the top for a screwdriver. So that one is the vertical adjustment, so that's good. So, and then this one's the horizontal, which would be, you know, left and right. But they probably have them already adjusted pretty much straight on, I'm guessing. Here's the plug and play harness. And then for that last plug I had in my hands, you can choose either sequential, which is the fancy one, or the standard blinking turn signal operation. Overall, it's pretty self-explanatory. This is the harness for the daytime running light, the little one that I showed you the fuse tap on, and then marker light, headlight, and parking lights. So pretty straightforward looking. So this video was shot in late November of 2023. So this is what you're going to get around that point of time. I know some of the earlier versions, people complained about some of the quality control, some other things like that. Just on first appearance, it looks pretty close to factory type sealing. You know, you got a couple of little blobs here, but it looks pretty good to me, just looking around on the seals. They do put an insert in there about fogging and condensation, but you know, that can happen with pretty much any headlight. So here we've got the stock plugs, as you can see, and like I said, they're just easy to match up. There's no way you can screw this up. And then this one goes to the running light plug. Okay, so not to bore you too much more, but anyway, here's all the plugs plugged in. It is literally just plug and play, with the exception of, you know, you get to make this little choice here with the sequential. And then other side's going to be exactly the same. So one thing I've learned over the years is you don't button everything up completely until you test it. So I'm just going to put 3 bolts in, one on the top. Of course, I've popped the headlight back into the slots there. And then this one at the bottom, right in there. And then just one right there for now. and then we're going to secure it and then look at our aim on the pattern, the cutoff and everything once we get the other side in. So the daytime running light that goes over the passenger side, I just routed it back up under here along with some other wiring that I had for the PA system. And let's see, there it is. And zip tie it. Main thing is you don't want it to be touching anything sharp, any of these sharp metal ridges. You know, like the radiator's got some sharp aluminum stuff, and just try to avoid that. And if you have to, wrap it in some of these wiring sheaths like you've got here, and then run it back up over into this area here. And then you just plug everything in like you did the other side, push the headlight back up in the slots, and then put those 3 bolts in. All right, they're in and all the lights are lit up. So far so good. And we're gonna back up and do a rudimentary aiming on this thing. So that's with the headlights in auto, and boy, those running lights are really, really bright. Headlights turned off automatically due to the sensor, of course. So you can see I've manually turned the headlights back on to do the aiming, and they do recommend to do like 25 feet back, and I just use the garage wall. Looks like I'm more like 30 feet, but I marked where the old ones were hitting, so that's kind of what I'm going to aim for. You can see the old tape line where the most obvious cutoff was on the old headlights, and this is pretty darn close. So, you know, we're within a couple of inches, and I'm going to go ahead and give that a shot. I might turn them down, point them down just a little bit, because most people are pretty overexcitable when they see a really good headlight. They'll flash you anyway, even if it's legal. Now this one does concern me quite a bit. That one's quite a bit higher, like a foot higher on the cutoff, but that's directly in front of the truck. Okay, I had to angle the truck a little bit to see where the actual cutoff was, and yeah, it's pretty high. So I'm gonna go ahead and point that one down. These things are so much brighter than stock that, you know, no matter what I do, I'm still gonna have a better view. So we'll aim that one down. You can kind of see the little dip there, and that's the cutoff to avoid hitting other people. And I know this doesn't look right with the hazards on, because the camera on the phone here messes with the LED sequential, but they are smoother than it looks like. It looks like they're flashing, but they're really not. And it just has to do with the refresh rate on the camera that I'm using. But that's with the hazards on. So now I got the high beams on, and you can kind of notice here, one thing to point out is that all the projectors are on all the time, but they do change when you go to high beams. You also notice I got those little small KC pod lights down there that are tied into the high beams. So when we look at the pattern on the wall, we kind of have to just forget about that. I just decided to turn off the KCs. There is a upfitter switch in there. I can do that manually, so I've turned those off. And looking at the wall, you can kind of see the high beam isn't spectacular. It's throwing a little bit more in the center, I would say right here, and then a little bit more above, but it's not a lot brighter to me than just the low beams in that hot spot. I'm sure it's significant at night when I'll look at it. Same thing over here. You can't quite see the cutoff as much with the high beam on, so you know it's putting out quite a bit more light to wash out that spot. So this is kind of cool. You don't need as long of a screwdriver with these as you do with the stock ones, and the adjuster's right here, so I'm going to turn it down. Remember, not more than 3 turns. So clockwise turns the beam down, points it down. Counterclockwise brings it up. I probably turned it 2 revolutions to get it down to that point. The cutoff was up here, and I brought it down about 6 or 8 inches. We're going to try that. Since there's such a well-defined cutoff, I think I should be okay unless I'm going downhill and somebody's coming up a hill. And here, looking straight on, you can kind of see when we get down, we got to go way down before we start engaging those low beams. They're pointed way a lot further down. You can see they all kind of kick in with those projectors. All right, so we got it all buttoned up, and we'll just wait till nighttime, drive it around, see if anybody flashes us. If I get excessive, then I'll readjust them a little bit, but at least it's pretty accessible up here at the top. And just put the grill back into the slots here at the bottom, 5 of them. And then you got your 4 grill bolts across the top. And I'm pretty excited to see these things at night over the stock headlight. It should be pretty big improvement. That's locked. Unlocked. So there's the cutoff. You can kind of see how each side tilts down. All right, so here's a drive test with the low and high beams shown. Thanks for watching the video. Appreciate you coming back to the channel, or if you're new here, please subscribe. And at the links below, you'll find tools and links to the headlights. Give it a thumbs up if you wish, and come back and see some more of our videos. Check out the other parts of the channel. Have a great one. These headlights are great. I'm going to keep them.